very early in the morning for me. It's about 6:20 and I woke up and I was tumbling around in bed after a sweaty dream, and I started typing about spirits online on Twitter. I was typing about them and typing about them and typing about them, and I realized there's only so much you can explain with text. There's something about the voice and the way things are said that really explain it. And spirits are fascinating creatures. I've come to know them not well. I mean, I know them well, but I don't like quality over quantity. I know them very well in small doses that I've experienced them. A DMT experience, I saw three of them, and they were very peaceful, very cool, very kind, and very loving, and very, very good. At Burning Man once, 15 years ago, I encountered what some people might call an evil spirit, although others have referred to them as negative spirits, which I think is more accurate. Rather than calling them good and evil, it's more positive and negative energy forces. And the negative spirit was terrified and angry. It was mad, and it was a rage spirit. And I stayed calm and listened to it, and it calmed down and thanked me and relaxed, took on this conversational tone. I was very grateful that I wasn't afraid, and then it dissipated. That was my first encounter with a spirit. The more recent ones were much more loving. They were fascinated with me, and I was fascinated with them, that's for sure. And I feel like they guide you. Spirits guide you. They don't control you. They don't hurt you or help you. You have to hurt or help yourself, but they guide you. They're there kind of like the wind, but you're the one adjusting your sails. Or like, and then I was thinking about God, because spirits are not God. God is something else. Spirits have a God. God is like, if you're on a boat sailing or floating and boating on a membrane of a vibrating membrane, let's call it the ocean or whatever. The boat is the spirit and the ocean is God. They're both moving you, but one is greater. And the spirits partake in that holistic substance that we know as God as well. They don't know what it is. At least the ones I asked. I asked them, what is God? And they showed me a vortex, this spiraling tornado-looking thing at the center of the universe, but they didn't know. The one I asked didn't know. It was three of them and the guy, the male spirit. I consider them people, not human, but personas. The ones that I saw, the first one, that angry one I was telling you about, the rage spirit, was disembodied. It was just a voice. I heard it echoing, kind of reverberating in my mind. But the more recent ones I saw, it was with the DMT, and I actually visualized them. And I hadn't broken through the veil. I was peering through the veil because I didn't take that much DMT. I was just enough to see through it rather than actually delve in past it. They wanted me to come. The woman was beckoning me forward, which is interesting because my mother's name is Rebecca, Beckon, Beckon, and I saw them as bodies of light, essentially high frequency bodies of light, like in the shape of hominids kind of standing there. I could tell that two of them were masculine and one was feminine. There were three of them. They looked like scientists on a spaceship, and that I had teleported into their teleporter, and they were like looking at me like, oh my God, he's here. This is so, you're here. Oh, and they were like in awe looking at me, but the woman was like, come in, come in. And I just didn't have the power or authority or something to make it in on that trip. I hadn't smoked enough DMT, but you really want to pierce through and go into that realm. There's a way. You might be able to do it just through pure meditation. I feel when my sight goes past my eyes into my inner brain and I can see with my mind instead of my eyes, I can start to see them and experience that realm, but there's this bending that is preventing the perception, which is kind of like a visored, like a sun hat, a visor on a hat that's protecting your eyes from the sun. And it's like, I got to bend that thing away to really blow my mind open. I think that drug, the DMT, the chemical, really does that painlessly. It just does it. It just like, whoop, that thing's not there anymore. And you're like, I'm seeing high frequency. But the reason I think those bodies were light, that I was seeing these beings of light, is because it's kind of like you're witnessing like a telegraph or like a radio frequency. They may very well be real people. somewhere, and they're teleporting their visage to you, and they're communicating with you through a high frequency. But I only perceived it as a being of light at that moment, because it's like I'm hearing you on the telephone. It's not actually your voice. It's a phonograph, or whatever you would call it, like a typographic version of reality. It's a digitized version of reality transported to me. But it sure seems real. But so I didn't want to be like, they are beings of light. I just perceived them this time as beings of light. The other time I perceived it as a being of sound. And I think that I'm endlessly fascinated with spiritual realm and spirits in general, and that I think that I'm being called to them, to work with them, and that my purpose here in a lot of ways is to act as a conduit between them and us. Pardon me, that's my peach juice that I was drinking this morning when I woke up. Last night I drank some beer. It's an IPA. And the spirit moved me. It was it's a slippery slide, that alcohol. They call them spirits for a reason. But, for good or evil, it's just lubricant. Can lubricate you towards good, can lubricate you towards evil. So I think if you kind of go on autopilot. So if you build a good system, and then you let your good system go on autopilot, you'll do good things, ideally, or you'll encounter good spirits. And if you're in a terror realm, and you've created a bad body, then you go into that realm as you experience bad spirits. But it's really how you go into it. Depends on where you land. And that was the thought that I had, is that like these spirits, these creatures, these entities were channeling me. They were like standing around a teleporter. And I think what's happening is all these entities, these different spirits, there might be better words for them than spirits, but this is the word I'm going to use right now today. And I don't want to overuse the word, but I'm probably going to for this video. They're all standing around their teleporters trying to channel you into their room, into their realm. And depending on how you go into that realm, that perception depends on what spirit you teleport to. And that's the one that'll appear in front of you, because that's where you appeared. And I wonder if they can't see you until you see them. Either when these last three that I saw, either they were in awe that I could see them, and they were so happy that I could see them, and that was it. And they were like, he can see us, he can see us. They'd been watching me and waiting for me to see them, and finally I could see them, and they were very grateful. Or they saw me as I was seeing them, and they were in awe because they were seeing me. And it was like, he's here, he's appearing, he's appearing, he's appearing. Oh my God, he's here. It's one or the other, I can't tell yet. I'll ask them. No, they can't see us. They know we're here, and they have seen us, but they can't necessarily see us. But they are able to. I think it's true that if you can't see them, they can't see you. That we're kind of working side by side or within each other. They're very, very gracious. I just thanked them. And with my mind, I think these words, and then they respond, or it responds, or whatever. There's a response. Kind of where you direct your thoughts. Like you can communicate directly with Jesus and he'll respond to you, or you can just talk to God and it will respond, or the spirits themselves. I know this one spirit. I remember the three I saw very well. And so I talked to the one guy. The male spirit seemed like a good communicator. The woman was more emotional. She was more a mother, that kind of, I'll take care of you, I'll hold you and nurture you energy, where the male was like, I'll answer your questions kind of energy. And then there was another younger or smaller one further away. He was smaller because he was further away. At first I thought, oh, there's a large woman and there's a smaller guy, and then there's a really small guy. But then I realized she was closest to me, so she seemed big. Then he was a little further back over to the left, so he seemed a little smaller. Then he was further back. And I thought maybe he was their child. I don't know, but then I thought later maybe they were scientists on a spaceship teleporting me or witnessing me. So that's really all I want to get out of my system. I guess if I could give you unsolicited advice about it is, don't be afraid of the spirits, even if they are angry or seem angry. Fear not, because they want to be understood. And if you understand them and allow them to communicate, they calm down and they relax and they're very grateful. Even the negative ones are like, oh God, somebody understands me. Thank you. And then that probably translates to humanity and how when they say like love thy neighbor and things like that, love your enemy, these like these things that make sense on the spirit realm that on earth sometimes you're like, why would I love the guy that's hunting me? But in the spirit realm that it actually does function like that, because they can't hurt you like with shoot you or any of that crap. They can only like communicate. And so there's in the level of communication, if you listen to the angry, they calm down, they relax. Ooh, what a world this is. This dense high frequency, this compacted cruxture. Well, that's all for me for now. Love yourself and love thy spirits. They're here with you. They're there with you. They're inside and outside. All right, bye.